I'm not allowed to tell you exactly where I am. I have been sworn to secrecy because this is the headquarters of master illusionist David Copperfield. David Copperfield has taken magic and turned it into an art form. He's wowed audiences all over the world with such amazing stunts as walking through the Great Wall of China, levitating a Ferrari, and even making the Statue of Liberty disappear. It's incredible tricks like that which have earned David his rating as the 10th highest grossing star in the entertainment world, putting him right up there with the Rolling Stones, Barbra Streisand, and even Frank Sinatra. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for the astounding, mystical, magical illusions of David Copperfield. So David, thank you very much for having me here to your secret location.
Yes.
And I will keep it a secret.
You promised.
But tell me a little bit about what actually is contained here and how it came about.
Everything you could possibly imagine. I bought a collection, I kind of rescued a collection that was about to be auctioned off. It was the Mulholland Library of Conjuring and the Allied Arts, which was books going back from the very first magic book ever written, which is way back there, to automatons, to personal artifacts of Houdini and Thurston and Maskelyne and Devant from your country, all kinds of things. And I never really had a fascination with magic history before I bought all these things, and now I've kind of been bitten by the bug, and we've quadrupled the amount of things that I started to collect.
Tell me about how you got started then. What made you start as a magician, and how old were you?
I was about 10 years old, 8 or 10 years old, and I wanted to find a way to get accepted. I think I was pretty shy, just like a lot of kids, you know, and some kids used sports or, you know, football or soccer to get friends, and I found magic to make me feel special, you know, and I got a lot of encouragement from people, and I did the talent show in school, and all the kids applauded, and I said, this is a pretty good job.
I didn't have the skill for magic. I used to buy friends. But I believe you started...
I didn't have the money to buy friends, so...
Am I right in thinking that you started as a ventriloquist before you began to do illusions?
I did. I was an only child, so it kind of became my partner and my friend and so forth, and then they couldn't tell which one was a dummy, so I had a job.
I believe when you first started actually doing the magic, the balloon bending and shaping, that was part of your act.
Unfortunately, I did like a couple birthday parties back then. I was Divino, the boy magician, and for $5 I would do a half-hour magic show and make 20 balloon animals. And I recently raised my price to $6. So,
and what is the hardest balloon animal to create?
Well, they're all poodles, aren't they? So it doesn't really matter.
A snake's okay, though, isn't it?
Snakes, that's the easiest one,
yeah,
that's for sure.
I can do a snake.
That's right.
You couldn't do a pig or something, or a lobster?
I would do a lobster and a pig, but they would really be poodles between you and me.
Poodles with claws?
That's right.
Okay. So how did the name Copperfield come about? Because it's not your given name, I understand. No.
Paul Daniels was taken, so I had to find something else. So I went, instead of an English magician, I went to an English book, and which we're forced to read here. We're forced to read your books in America, you know.
Well, you have so few of your own.
That's true. That's true. And yours are longer, so that we learn more.
Value for money.
That's right, exactly. They got paid by the word. The author was paid by the word, and we had to read every one of them. Yeah, I thought it sounded pretty good.
Now, let me ask you about your style a bit, because having seen you act live and seen your television performances as well, it strikes me that there's no one else who performs in quite the same way, which is obviously part of your appeal. It seems to me there's an element of like a rock gig when you're there. There's the music and the lighting and the effects, and also the way you look and the way you dress. It's kind of like a romantic hero, someone you'd expect on the cover of a book. With that kind
I'm not going to say what kind of book.
No,
but,
a nice book, kind of Fabio without the chest kind of book. And now I wonder what...
You haven't seen me with my shirt off, so
well,
we don't know.
Well, we have time. Let's just keep the tape rolling. But I wondered, now what inspired you to go that route? Because presumably there was no one who'd done that before, so you're branching out.
Well, it wasn't Fabio, that's for sure. My idols really were Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, you know, back when I was a kid. And I really wanted to do with magic what they did with dance, making it romantic, making it funny, making it appealing to a really wide group of audiences, is what they did with dancing, and I tried to do the same thing with magic. I was always jealous of singers and songwriters who could take things from their life and share it with the audience. You know, if their girlfriend left them, they could write a song about it and have a great piece of work. And magic, the only emotion that was ever evoked from the audience was amazement, which isn't bad, but I really wanted to move the audience. I wanted to make them laugh and cry, and so I've been really exploring many different ways of doing that with the art that I love, which of course is magic.
David, I'm not going to pry too much into your personal life, but it's been in the newspapers and magazines that you are currently dating, you're engaged, I believe, to a beautiful woman, one of the world's most beautiful women, the supermodel Claudia Schiffer. And I'm curious, how did you meet? How did you get to her?
She came to my show in Germany. I had a tour in Germany, and there was a gala event where we invited celebrities, their families, and so forth. And she was in the audience, and she's kind of hard to miss. So I took the opportunity to take her on stage, and I do an illusion in my show where I take a lady from the audience in my arms and I fly with her. So that's what I did.
That is what a fabulous way to make an impression on your first meeting.
Pretty good, huh?
It's as opposed to, do you want to come for a movie in a Burger King?
You want to fly with me?
Yeah. That's not at all bad. And you see, what's wonderful here is, the moral to this story is, there we have the young boy magician, Davino, thinking, I really want some friends, I'm going to take up magic. And then a few years on, you've got the super babe in your arms, and that's the end result. I've got a feeling that these kind of magic kits are going to sell like hotcakes to teenagers tomorrow.
I hope so.
That's the way to go.
I hope they work, anyway.
Now, there was a wonderful moment in the TV special I viewed over here where you took Claudia into your warehouse for the first time, and you spoke to her about some of your tricks, which I thought was a nice moment. Was that how it really happened?
Sort of, but on that show, she was playing a role of the reporter interviewing me, which is kind of what you're doing now, except her miniskirt was much shorter than yours, you know.
I can't compete.
We do have time, though, actually.
David, I'm thinking specifically of the illusions that you create for a television audience. And I was wondering, how do you persuade the viewer at home that what they're seeing isn't just the result of camera trickery?
Well, many ways. One way is to have a live audience there, like in the train, those people all around it holding hands. There was a continuous camera shot that didn't cut away. The camera started inside the train, came on the outside of the train, the camera hopped on a big crane so you could see all angles, and never cutting away to the very end, which is very difficult to do, but I think in over 15 years of being on TV in the States, you get a little bit of credibility, I think.
I know that you're involved with Project Magic, which is something you instigated. What's that?
Well, magic can be therapeutic. You know, it can get results in a motivational way, in a way of helping people motivate their self-esteem, and as well as their movement, their fine motor skills by learning magic. And this is a program that's been going on for about 12 years now. It's in 1,000 hospitals in 30 countries around the world, where magic is taught for therapeutic purposes.
And what kind of tricks, what kind of things do
Everything from sleight of hand to things with mathematics, where mathematics have to be learned, coordination things, color recognition, memory, planning, besides obviously the communication skills that you can gain by learning magic and being thrust into a world where you have to perform for people.
Now, you're coming over to play Earl's Court in London later this year, and just having seen your show, this must be an enormous process. You must have a huge crew that come with you. What kind of scale are we talking?
There's about 40 of us that will be traveling to Earl's Court. We'll get another 40 or maybe 100 people locally there, all who have to sign secrecy agreements. And it takes a few days to set it up, and it's and a couple of 747s, and it's pretty okay.
There's so much wonderful stuff in here. This huge piece here, what's the history of this?
It was owned by Orson Welles. It was built for him for the Mercury Wonder Show. He would do shows for the troops because he loved magic as much as he loved filmmaking. You know, he wanted to really be known and established as a magician. And he and Rita Hayworth were to perform this in his show, because the whole show is a sawing in half, by the way. But Harry Cohen at the studio, at Rita Hayworth's studio, said, we don't want our starlet in a magic show. So Marlene Dietrich ended up doing this, getting sawed in half every night in this show, which had all actors playing the assistant roles. Joseph Cotton, Agnes Moorehead, all the people were part of this show for the U.S. troops.
So you didn't mind poor old Marlene Dietrich being chopped in half?
I guess she wasn't under contract.
No great loss then. This is marvellous. Have you ever used this, actually used this piece?
No, I played with it. Actually, everything still works, but it looks pretty dangerous, actually.
Yeah, it does. It strikes me that some of the things you do are old tricks, but they're revamped in a new and exciting way. We've all seen magicians saw someone in half, and yet you do it in a way that it seems totally new.
Well, it's old themes, you know. You can levitate things, you can saw them in half, you can vanish them. Sawing in half has been reinvented. I mean, I invented a whole new principle in sawing a person in half. In the Earl's Court show that people will see me saw somebody in half lengthwise. And you can't find that principle in any of these magic books. It is a totally new invention. So it's a very, you know, exciting to have created new principles for magic that someday somebody in the future will improve on and build on from there.
Well, I've seen you do that, and I've got to ask you, how'd you do it, David?
Can you keep a secret?
I won't tell anyone.
So can I.
Okay. Let me ask you, do you have a favourite illusion of the ones that you perform?
There's a lot of favorites. Everything from the train, and a long time ago I made an airplane disappear. And there's a piece that's an escape called the Death Saw.
We should look to the cameras for that. Dun, 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 dun.
The Death Saw.
David, when I saw you perform that live, I thought this is just about the most remarkable thing I've ever seen in theatre.
Thank you.
And I wondered, how on earth can you top that?
We'll come to Earl's Court and find out.
Okay, try and stop me.
All
Thanks very much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much.
Great. We're going to disappear.
Now here is the best part. You have a head start if you are amongst the very young. At home.
Perhaps we hardly need to remind you that David Copperfield's tricks are illusions, so please don't try them yourself.